Hey everybody, Spanky the Hero here, and we're back with Kerbal Space Program. Slight issue on the series I started. Some of the mods were getting a little weird, but I recorded a whole bunch of the series and then kind of stopped for a little bit to do all the editing, and never really had time because of work. But when I did have time, the update kind of broke the entire space program I had going. So I ended up patching all the mods, getting everything back up and running and functional, but I really couldn't recover the program because there was just something really strange going on with my save file. What I ended up doing the other day was starting over from roughly where we were at the first crappily edited video, but we'll just continue from there. I basically recreated the last flights and then started with the science. More or less I did the first flight, so a lot of mods are disabled, a lot of mods are added. Check the description for more details. So here we go. This was the end. We've got some science here from all the things we just did, which is awesome. Now, what we're going to do is spend some of this science. Basic rocketry obviously is a good place to start. Now, we have a little bit of a dilemma because we don't have enough science to learn all three of these. But this survivability looks like it's really good. Stability looks really good. And a little bit more important since we have problems keeping a stable rocket. But then you got the general rocketry, which gives us a little bit more power. We got some gimbal engines in here, so it's a big toss-up. In the end, stability definitely wins. Obviously, the next tier we can't even afford, but survivability we can afford. And it has a lot of good stuff in there too, including that 909 engine and the orbital Bertha. Alright, and there we go. Let's do some quick editing here. I'm going to have the KSR-01 become the KSR-02. Slight differences. We got some mystery goo. We got some SRBs up on here. We're going to do just a little quick science from the launch pad. And prepare for takeoff. And we have takeoff. You can see I'm doing some time acceleration and the post here just to speed things up. But we got this little two-stage, or well, I guess it's technically three-stage rocket. Once we drop the SRBs here, aiming for the North Pole, if you couldn't tell already. This will at least get us pretty far along. There we go, just drop the large liquid fuel. Boosting up. That's roughly where we want to be. We have parachutes. We have some landing gear on here just to help us out. Do a little bit of science in orbit here. And we're coming back down. You can see the... oh, had a little pause break there. Kids were going crazy. A little bit of a weird graphical glitch on the actual North Pole. I was going to aim for the pole itself, but I was just trying to get... I was trying to slow down and get a better landing, but as you can see, our engine just dropped off. There we go, decelerating slowly. Just got to ditch this fuel tank. Like, it should just fall off once the parachute deploys, but I'd like to try to get rid of it ahead of time, but it just doesn't really happen. Almost down. And, oh, there it goes. And we got a nice slow descent until we touch down, which is not far at this point. Just missed that fuel tank. And there we go, we made it to the pole. Do a little bit of mystery goose science. Of course, our EVA report. Get surface samples and all that good stuff here from the poles. And attempt to get in here. Got to do a little bit of a running start. There we go. Jumped right on. And bam! Total of 47 science from that one. So now here's the breakdown. We really need to decide what we're going to get here. Early stages, you can pretty much just fill out the tree. But some of these things have better... Obviously, this general construction has some cool parts. Over down here in Science Tech, we have some more science stuff, which is, as you probably guessed it, the most important thing right now is to build up science. But we really don't have science to get much else at this point. Solar panels, as you can see, would be nice, but that's 90 science. However, we could also pick up general rocketry with the amount of science we have. So let's do some magic cuts again. And we got the KSR-03. This time, no SRBs, we are liquid fuel. And we have 3 science juniors on here. We grabbed some science from the launch pad. And one thing I didn't really take into consideration here is the top heaviness of this rocket. As you can see, hit a little bit of break up there. So now we're plummeting back down. So shoots away, and at this point, there's not much we can really do. Get the gear out in case the science junior at the bottom breaks on impact. We're moving. We got 3 shoots on this one, so we're moving pretty slow. We're decelerating pretty quickly. I'm trying to do a little side slip there just to make sure I didn't go towards or try to get closer to the runway. And we got a little bit of last-minute science while flying, and I learned also that using 4 times physical acceleration when you go to do an EVA is probably not the best idea. That's why poor Jebediah is down here on the ground with no way back in. Can't even tip it over. It's pretty much stuck. So at this point, we're just going to recover this vessel, switch back over with our 12 science we got there from that little flight. Grab Jebediah here and do a recovery on his flight. For another 28 science. So cool. Got some science there. So see if we could spend the science on something like, you know, aerodynamics and flight control. That 45 science, exactly what we needed. So quick redesign of the KSR-04. With a little bit of actual control surface here, rather than just stabilizers. I'm just taking a quick peek to see what we have in the toolbar. Nothing really of interest right now. Launchpad science. Might as well grab a little bit more. And away we go. This time we're doing a little bit more controlled descent. We're going to wait till a little bit later to do an actual gravity turn. At least more than we normally do. You can see these fins on the top and bottom sections of the rocket are going to give us an actual control surface rather than just a stabilizer. And so far it's working out very well until we start doing the tumble. Now typically this tumble is not a good thing to have in your launch, and it means you're pretty much boned, but we're able to recover this one. It wasn't too bad. There we go. Loosen out our orbit a little bit, get the apoapse a little higher. And we're going to drop to the orbital Bertha engine. A little bit more efficient once we're out of the atmosphere, but we'll do what we can. And this time, as you can tell, we're going for the South Pole. Wonderful. Do a little orbital science. Sub-orbital? Science from space. As we also... I'm having some weird thing going on with my camera. I gotta check my settings where it used to rotate the Kerbal. Where he would used to change his position based off where the screen was pointing, but he doesn't seem to be now. So it made it a little bit more difficult getting the science out of those science juniors. But here we go. Let's get ourselves in a retrograde position. See if there's any science we can do at the highest point of our orbit. And accelerate down till we're in the atmosphere. Very upper atmosphere. Point ourselves a little retrograde. Zipped right past the South Pole, but that's fine as long as we're on the pole itself. We're okay, the polar region. There we go. Burned up all of our fuel until we landed. Oh, got a little stuck there, but easily able to break it away. And now we're coming in for a landing. There we go. We're looking a little bit better now. Gonna ease her down nice and gently. A little bit of time acceleration and touchdown. Sweet. So we're gonna grab some signs here from the polar caps. Not much extra we could get because the poles are, I guess, are the same. Didn't know that. But we're gonna do a little trick here to try to tip this thing over. That way we don't have the same issue that Jebediah had prior. We couldn't get back in. Do a little leg lift and tilt. Wonderful. Grab the surface sample, last little bit of science, jump back in, and recover. got a good amount of science on that mission as well. Not a whole lot, not as much as I was expecting, but we can kind of peek around and just see what's out there. And we're going to end up having to go with one of these 45 science, and of course, construction it was. Grabbed a couple more Kerbals from which one by in a blink. A couple new recruits, hand-picked. And the KSR-05s are ready to go with some new parts. And here we are using solid fuel boosters, which are a little bit overpowered for what we're doing here. You can see they're the size of a rocket, but accelerates wonderfully. A little late on our gravity turn as well, so we're trying to overturn to compensate for it. And there they go. Drop the SRBs. Back on the liquid fuel. We got a huge apoapse right now. So we're just going to burn up the fuel we got. Establish a stable orbit. Just making little adjustments here. Slowly circularizing our orbit. And a little bit off. We'll have to make a few adjustments here. Beautiful. There we go. Stable orbit. Not much real science to be had out here. Just a few little bits and pieces we haven't collected before. But we noticed we have the encounter now. Not too shabby. Let's see if we can do any other adjustments here. Leave it close. We should have enough fuel because we still have a whole extra stage remaining, but I'm going to keep an eye on my fuel while I do this. I really didn't want to do this big of a burn with that little bit of fuel left on the stage, but I mean, it's going to be necessary at this point. And there we go. Oh, out of fuel. Drop it and go. And we just got to tweak our encounter. Good enough. I'm not going to go for anything crazy this pass. But we did. We made it to the moon. You can see the moon. We're within the sphere of influence. We can do a little bit of science in that gravitational field and observe it over the side there before we wrap up all of our science and head home. The different scientific mechanisms. Good, good. Let's jump back in. Now we just need to figure out our return home. In this case, we'll do a burn at prograde at periapse of the moon, and that'll push our orbit to a different shape, which will actually bring us into the atmosphere. We'll do a little aero braking. Wait for it, and fine tune it right below 60. That's perfect. It's enough that it puts us into the atmosphere, and we can set this up so that we never leave it. Just fire it down. We are on the light side of the planet, so I would like to make our descent here, but not in the water. I'm going to try to clear these highlands. That way we can get some signs from a biome that we haven't landed in yet. I'm pretty sure the shores, you will get the same signs you do with the launch area. So if we get over these mountains, which doesn't look like it's going to be much of an issue. Perfect. We've burned up all of our fuel now. Got some re-entry going on. And right, once we clear this part, we're going to fire the chute. Drop the gear. Get some flying science, so to speak. And then prepare for landing. And there we go, touchdown. We'll do the same thing we did before, except this time, like an idiot, I left time acceleration on. So it tipped right over. We're gonna get all the usual stuff, surface sample, EVA report, store the data. Oh, store the data, then do the EVA report again from quote-unquote flying, while flying over the highlands. Perfect. Now let's recover this bad boy. And what's our results? Total of 147 science. Wonderful. Brings us a total of 191. Let's do a little bit of check here on our research. So there's a lot of stuff that we could definitely spend this on. And one of the things that I think is... I keep saying that I think these are all important. Like, we're hitting the stage now where you get a little bit more decisive about what you do and do not need at this point. All this stuff here is great for working on landers and smaller craft, and also asparagus staging. Obviously the solar panels and lights are nice, but fuel kind of exceeds that need. We got RCS. It's well worth the 90 science, but still have 100 left. Where do we want to put it? Well, if we want to get more science, there's one place that we can get it. The landing, not so much at this phase. But if we go back into the space exploration, we have a couple of good things there. Some of the Odin stuff from, I think it's KW? I'm not sure which mod those are from off the top of my head. But the Odin parts are really nice for lander, as well as the temperature gauge. And we get the science lab, so that's pretty good. But this is where we're going to wrap it up for this time, guys. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.